Welcome to All Things Real Estate. I'm Terry LaJoy, your host, 20-year real estate veteran with Keller Williams Coastal and Lakes and Mountains Realty.
And I am Sean Sandville, owner-founder of Oak Hill Solutions.
Hello everyone, welcome back to All Things Real Estate. I'm your host, Terry LaJoy with Keller Williams Coastal and Lakes and Mountains Realty. I've got Sean, my co-host here from Oak Hill Acquisitions. And today we have Scott Law from Real Property Absolute, Real Property Management Absolute.
Correct.
Get the name right. So welcome, Scott.
Thank you.
So just tell us a little bit, we're going to start with who you are, what you do, and then we'll dig into some of the good stuff that you do.
Sure. Well, I'm a Nashua native. I've grown up in this area all my life, lived in Manchester for a little bit as well, but I live in Hollis now. Married with 2 kids, and my son and I, my younger son, 5 years ago, came to me and said, Dad, I want to start a property management company. And I said, okay, well, that's interesting because my background is in commercial property management. And I said, this is perfect. Let's put something together. Always wanted to work with my kids if I could. And
Nice.
So 5 years ago, we started this property management company. We bought into the nation's largest franchise, Real Property Management.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, we knew that the residential property management business is very regulated, very highly regulated, and you really want to know what you're doing. And so we joined the franchise, which turned out to be a very good move. And we're now, we've grown, we're just under 100 doors.
Fantastic.
And we handle everything from the single condo to 20-unit multifamilies.
Wow.
Okay.
We also do HOAs, which are homeowner associations for condos, but we focus only on small condos.
Okay.
Small condo associations, 10 units or less typically. But our main focus is really multifamilies. That is the big market in Southern New Hampshire, and so that's where we focus primarily.
All right, so we're going to dig into that here in a minute.
Right.
But for the people that are watching, explain the different types of property management, because not everybody does what you do, and you don't do what other companies do. So what are the different types of property management out there so that people kind of understand, and then we're going to dig into what makes you guys special.
Great. Well, like I said, we are a full-service property management company, which means we handle all the different facets of property management. But you have everything from single-family condos, single-family homes, multifamily homes, large condo associations, large apartment complexes, and we even do what we call maintenance only, and lease only. So if somebody just wants to use our leasing services, so let's say they own a 20 unit themselves and they're tired of looking for tenants, we can do just that service for them. Same with maintenance. If someone's tired of dealing with maintenance and they don't have a good vendor list, we have an excellent and trusted vendor list. So we can handle those 2 services alone, even not just the entire complete services.
Right. So if somebody is looking just for you guys, okay, what makes you unique? Because I know you've had some unique facets to your business. Those are 2 that you do, just the leasing or just the maintenance. Mm-hmm. But you also focus on, primarily, you like the individual property owners. That's one of your sweet spots, is
right.
The person the investor who owns maybe 1 door to 50 doors to 100 doors.
Right.
Not so much the person who owns 5,000 units.
Right, correct. So our focus is primarily on 20 units or less. And so our primary customer are investors in Southern New Hampshire who have grown a portfolio year after year after year, right. And a lot of them decades. And they've built up a portfolio that is either too big for them to manage on their own now, or they're just looking for maintenance help, or just leasing help, or full property management, because a lot of our clients are 60 or older.
Right.
And their spouse may be telling them, you better get retired because we need to travel more. And so what we like to say is we can come in and take what they've built over their lifetime, and what's obviously a critical piece for them financially. And we like to think of it as we carry the backpack for them. So they may have started out, they bought one house, one rental unit, and they had a little fanny pack that they put it in, and then they grow into a little satchel because they bought more properties. But by the time they're in their 60s, they've got a full-blown backpack going on that's super heavy,
Right.
but also super valuable and very important to them. And investors tend to like to do things their own way. They build their own systems, which
Yes.
is really neat. And so what we'd like to do is we like to offer them the ability, we'll take the backpack off their shoulders. So we take the weight off and we do the work, but it's still their backpack. And then what we do is we add our value add services. So we add a web portal. A lot of individual investors don't have a web portal.
No, I don't know any that do, actually.
Right. We add our tenant screening. We have our franchise isn't the number one property management franchise in the nation for nothing. They have very good resources for tenant screenings and evictions and even financial analysis. So we add these things to their backpack, and then we take care of their properties for them and just send them their monthly income. And one of the things, one of the major ways we're different is that our franchise has what we call the Wealth Optimizer Analyzer. And
That's a mouthful.
it is. And it's a web-based product that allows our owners to go into the portal and have a full analytical software product on either one property or all their properties.
Wow.
So we can go in and we can say, okay, we may recommend this particular unit or 3 units in this 8-unit building, let's say. 3 of the units have old bathrooms. We're going to show you that if we recommend to you that that we remodel these bathrooms, you can raise your rent by X amount, and we can show you over time how much that's actually going to increase the amount of money you're going to make.
That's cool.
We also have a very low vacancy rate. Our franchise nationwide is less than 1%.
Really?
And that's where the money meets the road, as they say, or the rubber meets the road, because vacancy is just incredibly costly. And if you have 6 properties and you have 15 doors, that's a lot to manage. And a lot of these investors will have full-time jobs to boot.
Right.
So, so we want to take that off of their shoulders, and we want to increase their occupancy rate, which in turn, with the other added values that we can bring and put in the backpack, can many times pay for our services. So in some ways, why wouldn't an investor do that? They have less work. They have no weight on their shoulders, less stress. They have their time back, and they're still getting at least the same amount of money they were getting before, if not even more.
So one of the things that I see a lot is the small investor. They've got 1 to 5 units.
Yeah.
And a lot of times their rent, they haven't kept the rent at market rates. They're losing a ton of money
Yes.
by having below market rents. And I understand you have a good tenant, you don't want to raise the rent so that they
Exactly
leave.
it. That's right.
However, there's how do you balance that?
Right. That's one of the benefits to hiring a property manager is they don't have to be the bad guy anymore. And a lot of times investors don't want to be the bad guy.
Right.
And if they get a good tenant, just like you said, they will let them pay below market rate because they know they're going to stay around. And we can come in and we can say, okay, we get it. Tenants are extremely important to us, and we treat them with all the respect in the world because this is their home.
Correct.
It's really important that a property manager understands that. But if they're paying under market rate, we can show the investor, what if we bump these up? What if we, and again, sometimes it may not make sense because if the tenant's been in there 20 years, then the unit itself is 20 years old.
Correct.
And they may not have renovated it. So we have to look at that, and we have to be honest with the owner that, geez, yeah, it would be nice to get $400 more for rent for this, but if it's going to cost you too much, and we'll look at the wealth optimizer tool, it may not make sense, or the return may not be within the time frame that owner wants to keep that property.
Right.
If the return is going to be 10 years and they want to sell in 5, then it doesn't necessarily make sense. So, yes, under market rent is a big deal, and where this market in Southern New Hampshire is so incredible,
Right.
that we can show them using the wealth optimizer tool, as well as the other renovation type analysis, that hold versus sell. If they hold, our analyzer can show them that the tax savings, the appreciation on the property, the higher rent, these things can typically make it better to hold it than it is to sell it. I mean, yes, selling it will give you a cash infusion, but at the same time,
You also have capital gains to deal
Yeah,
with.
major
also
tax
cap-
implication.
Exactly.
tax implications, and what are you going to do with that money? If you're just selling that money to reinvest it, we can show you what it would look like holding it and renting it compared to selling it and investing it in the stock market. And it's almost always better to hold it and rent it.
Right.
So that we can bring that to them, where to our investor owners, where most property managers can't.
Right. And the other thing is, if somebody has property and say they've got 3 or 4 buildings, maybe 8 to 10 units,
Yep.
and they're aging out of being wanting to be a landlord, but they have children.
Yep.
An easy way to transition that wealth is just transitioning the ownership through a trust or other means that allows that property to transfer to the children. You're managing it, so they're getting the income now, but
Exactly.
they don't have all that pressure
Right.
of taking on a whole portfolio where the parents
Exactly.
built it one property at a time.
Exactly. That's why I say we use the backpack analogy, is because it's very, very important to them. This is something not only financially, but they've invested themselves in this.
Correct.
And what a great thing to pass on to children. So recently, 2 years ago, we took on a client who only has one property, a 4-unit multifamily, and he has a son in South Carolina, and he kept trying to tell him that this is going to be yours someday, this is going to be yours someday. And finally, he and I met, we talked, and he said, well, would you talk to my son? I said, sure, of course I'd talk to him. And so I did, and we actually went down to Key West together and met down there because I have a rental property down there. And I said,
Right.
come on, let's all go down there. And he was able to tell me some of the issues he's facing. And one of the biggest, as a child of an investor, is the spouse. The spouse is like, the spouse sees dollar signs, and you can't blame them.
Right.
That's a lot of money to look at in a lump sum. But financially, does it make sense to take that tax hit and et cetera, or is the revenue better, the monthly standard revenue? And that's what this owner really wanted to do. Was his son is a firefighter, and so he wanted to provide his son with long-standing income
Right.
that he could that he could use and have.
Well, because if you think about it, if you have rental property and you get to a point where the cash flow exceeds what your monthly expenses are, whatever you do at that point is because you want to, not because you have to.
Right.
That's a huge weight lifted off of anybody.
Yes.
And people don't realize that.
Exactly. And, one of the things this son brought up was, well, what about maintenance? How in the world am I going to know that you're taking care of the property? And one of the things that does make us different is that we do minimally an annual inspection. We want eyes on that unit.
Yes.
We recommend every 6 months, but we require annually. And so I explained to him that not only that, but that our vendors, we require them to take before and after pictures. And so those are up on, again, the portal, that from South Carolina, this future owner or customer will be able to jump online and say, oh, here's what they did. Okay, they did this and that, and then, oh, because they did that, they raised the rent. So that's great.
Right.
Yeah, so they can put A and B together and see the full transparency of what you guys are doing.
Exactly. And that's huge. That's where our vendors come into play, because we need vendors who will do that.
Yeah.
So we vetted out our vendors, particularly our handyman vendors, because those are the ones where we feel get lost the easiest. But we have before and after pictures, and we use technology.
Yeah.
We use the internet to save this information on, so that our vendors can save it, and then we upload it to the portal. So, and of course, our franchise uses software that's cutting edge and has tremendous opportunities for us to create efficiencies, savings, and speed. For instance, if we have a handyman request come in through the portal that a tenant places, that handyman work order goes right to our handyman. It doesn't even come through us. It goes, boom, straight to them, and they contact the tenant, and they get the issue resolved.
Yep.
We do that with a handful of our vendors. We can't do it with all. Some of them don't use technology to that extent. And I get it. I get it. But yeah, that's using the benefit of the number one franchise in the nation and what they can offer.
Nice.
Yeah, the speed is crucial, especially like owning property personally and having tenants. Like, my biggest thing is keeping them happy, and when there's an issue, you want that done ASAP. So the fact that they can just go straight from a portal, putting in the request, and it's right at the handyman's inbox of sorts, and he's calling them directly to book it, like, that probably helps your retention with the tenants as well, because they feel like they're being taken care of.
Yeah, that's part of the value add we put in our backpack, is that we respond within 24 hours.
Yep.
And we can do it through the portal, so that, yes, we can take phone calls 24/7, and we do.
Yeah.
But if a tenant doesn't have to they prefer just jumping on the portal, knowing it'll get
I mean,
same
I think it makes more sense for them too. It's like, if you guys already have the system in place, what's the point of calling you if they know they can just put the request in and it's going to get taken care of within 24 hours?
Right.
That's huge.
Yep, it is. And it's been something that we push. Somebody once told me, and they're an investor, they said the way they looked at it, and I've adopted this mantra, is, would I let my grandmother live there? And boy, that changes the view.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I think, property managers in the past have had a bad rep, and somewhat rightfully so, with some of these property managers just looking at the owner is my only customer. Well, no, we deal with the tenants more than we deal with the owner.
Yeah.
And as I said before, Vacancy rates are
I hate them.
yeah, that, you
Hate
know,
'em.
it's just, that's not what you want. And so we have to make sure that the tenant is happy so that they stay there and continue to pay not only rent, but market rent.
Yeah. I've always looked at it where it's like, yes, when you acquire the building or the house of sorts, like it is your asset, but it's worthless without your tenants. So
That's a
your
good point.
tenants are your true asset that you need
right.
to take care of
That's
and
right.
make sure that they're happy.
Right.
Because I mean, I've experienced a vacancy where I had a tenant leave suddenly for medical issues, and then that unit was vacant for 2.5 months while we were trying to fill it. And I was just, every moment I was just hating it. I was like, wow, this really threw a wrench into things.
Yeah,
Like,
it does. It
Yeah.
really can, you know, especially, you know, it's kind of like flipping. Flipping is all about timing.
oh yeah.
But that's the way we look at vacancy rates, is how fast can we get somebody in there? And
Yeah.
a lot of times when a tenant leaves, you're looking at remodeling, right?
Yeah,
You know,
most of the time.
right. So how fast can you get in there and get that done? How efficient can you be? Is it going to be done right? You know, you've got to get the certificate of compliance in the city of Manchester.
Yeah.
So how fast can you get that? That sometimes can hold you up. So I always try to treat those inspectors with kid gloves because
Yeah, you have to.
right, because you know everything is speed, getting it rented again.
Speed is, I think that's one of the most undervalued things in real estate as a whole. Is speed is so important. Like delays ruin everything. We've dealt with it with listings,
Yeah.
with flips, with projects, vacancies. Speed is so important. The fact that you understand that and that's what you're passing on to your clients is huge, because some of the older clients in their 60s, 70s, they may not be from that generation where they're kind of the mindset, hey, we're gonna do it right, but it's gonna take as long as it takes, versus
Right.
you're like, no, we have the technology now, we have the resources where we're gonna get you a top tier tenant and we're gonna do it within a relatively short period of time and make sure that this is all done above board pretty much.
Right. You know, that's always one of our initial interview questions with an owner is, how do you feel about maintenance? And, you know, I had one owner say, you know, we were talking about water heat,
Yep.
and, you know, you need to get that inspected. You need to have that signed off.
Yes, you do.
You know? And, oh, no, I don't do that. Okay, well, we're going to have to do that, or we don't,
Work with you pretty much.
we're not the right fit.
Yeah.
For you. So we've had that conversation, and you're right. We've also had other owners who, when I would see their properties, I said, oh boy, they need a lot of work. And so as a property manager, I have to gauge how willing is this owner to bring this up to code. You know, are there smoke detectors and CO2 detectors in there like there should be that meet code? No, and they don't have any money to fix it. They're kind of hoping they can hire a property manager. I'll bring in the money and everything will be hunky-dory, but that's not always the case.
Yeah.
So it's always important for me to understand the investor and what his or her goals are.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I've dealt with that so many times. Just on the other end, when I'm going to look at off-market properties, there's a bunch of time I'm going to look at older multifamily, and they haven't been maintained in forever. And that's the first thing that I look at it as I go, wow, to get somebody in here at market rent is going to require me to do this laundry list of items. I don't know if this makes sense.
Yeah.
And
You're 100%. We just recently took on a client who has 8 units in Hudson, and what happened is the father owned them, and he had health issues and had to give control of his estate to his daughter. So they know his daughter lives in Minnesota. She knows nothing about these properties, how good they are, how bad they are, and she was in a panic, and we agreed to take them on. Well, there are some units in there. We do what we call an initial inspection.
Yeah.
And I go in, and the laundry list is just incredible.
Yeah.
You know, we went into one vacant unit, didn't even have heat. It had run out of oil. And so I'm running over there putting in heaters because it's 17 degrees.
Yeah.
And, just to maintain the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it going, oh, this is, the laundry list is going to be significant. And so I have to understand that she is now what we call the accidental investor.
Yeah.
She may not be interested in putting all this money into it, and I need to be cognizant of that. And if I think she could she should sell them, then maybe she should. And so we're analyzing that now and going to give her our recommendation. We don't want to lose the business, obviously.
But you're also doing what's best for your client.
Right, exactly.
Because I could imagine if you're an accidental landlord or an accidental investor, there's a reason why some people don't go down that path. They don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, and then they're just like, what do I do?
Yeah, yeah. And she loves the money coming in.
Oh, of course.
But at the same time, I have to be honest with her and show her what it's going to cost her to get these, and they're well under market.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 3-bedroom units going for $1,200. I mean, it's...
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It is. But, so I'll show her my side where, if you hold and keep these and rent these will be a good investment. But I need to make sure that that's what her goal is.
Yeah.
And if it just isn't, then it just isn't. I'm not going to fight it and try to keep her. Then I would call my resources like Terry and say, hey, Terry, I've got somebody who's got, well, actually it's 4 duplexes who wants to sell. Can you help them? And of course she
And
would.
we can.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have you stop here because
Okay.
we're almost out of time. But very quickly, you have an event coming up.
I do. January 21st.
January 21st. Tell us about that. I know Sean and I are going to be there because
Excellent.
we're presenting.
Yes, I hope. Yeah. So this is our Nashua Real Estate Investors Networking event. So there are some other networking events around the state, but there really isn't any in Nashua.
We're almost out of time.
Okay.
I want you to tell the people that are watching, where is it, what time is it, and what
Gotcha.
the date is.
So January 21st at the Marriott Hotel in Nashua, the Marriott Courtyard, from 5:30 to 7:30.
Perfect.
And it's free.
Awesome.
Just show up.
Thank you so much. Everybody,
Thank you.
thanks for watching today. We'll see you back next week, and have a great day.